Taxpayer.
Can you hear me?
Tax collector question.
Mic check, check one.
Gotcha.
his turn. Okay. Call to order. For those who would like to join me, please stand for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Let's start with a roll call, please.
Mrs. Fish. Dr. Gatachu.
Here.
Mr. Gordon.
Here.
Dr. Gursky. Okay. Mr. Kirsch.
Here.
Mr. Reichard.
Here.
Dr. Uasa.
Here.
Mrs. Edmeades. Mr. Huron.
Here. Thank you. The board will take action to approve the meeting minutes from the December 2nd, 2020 reorganization meeting as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Christina.
I second.
Thank you, Dr. Gatachu. All in favor? Yes?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item 1.4, board will take action to approve the meeting minutes from the December 2nd, 2020 board meeting as,
No, it should
wait.
be January 13th.
Wait.
No.
Okay, yeah.
oh, pardon me.
January 6th.
You're just checking to see if I'm paying attention.
I'm sorry. No, I think it's January 6th.
I'm up 1-0 now, just for the
Okay.
record. The board will take action to approve the meeting minutes from the December 2nd, 2020 board meeting as presented. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, thank you.
I second.
Second, all right, thank you. Motion carries.
Oh, down low.
Oh, excuse me. All right, we'll get the hang of this. Yep. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item 2.1.
I
Oh, yes.
understand there was an executive session for a special board meeting this month.
Yeah, last Wednesday. Yes, there's no executive session this week. Yes. Thank you, Bonnie.
Excuse
Okay,
me,
for
Chris.
items 2.1, we'll have a review as appropriate for, we'll start with Columbia Montour, which is my responsibility. I don't have anything to add at this time. We'll go to the CSIU. Dr. Gatachi,
Our next meeting was next week, January 20th. So I have nothing to report.
nothing else, January 20th, okay. And then for the Finance Committee, Mr.
Okay.
Kirsch.
We met last Wednesday, January 6th, with concerns or regarding compensation concerns and reimbursement of continuing ed for the tax collectors. We also discussed a financial advisor who will be here at our next meeting, which is January 27th, to discuss bond refinancing possibility. Upon further reconsideration of our meeting last week, the Finance Committee proposes a motion to revise the tax collector resolution as follows, to the addendum item 11.5. Per Act 2005, Act 48, or per 2015, Act 48, each qualified tax collector shall be required to obtain 6 hours of mandatory continuing education during each year of his or her term of office, unless otherwise exempted. The district agrees to reimburse 1/3 the actual cost of the 6 hours of mandatory continuing education for each tax collector, not to exceed $300 in the 4-year term. Reimbursement will be made based on actual expenditures with submission of receipts. Expenditures include registration fees, mileage, hotel costs, and all other actual expenses associated with the 6 hours of continuing education. The reimbursement shall remain in effect and payable during the 4-year term of office of the tax collectors, which begins in January 2022. So I would like to request a motion to be made to that effect.
Do we have a motion to add that to the addendum, or excuse me, to item 11.5?
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
So-
Second.
Daryl.
Roll call.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Dr. Gatachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Reichert,
Yes.
Dr. Uasa,
Yes.
Mrs. Edmeades, Mr. Huron.
Yes. I just would like to just a quick moment. What that ties out to is the way the system is set up, that there's a structure by which taxes and the administration of taxes in the communities are handled, and there's structures and a schedule that pays per entity. And so what this ties back to is that structure that's been in place, and it's adding another feature to that structure. So just a bit of clarity on what that all meant. Okay. Committee updates, item 2.2.
No, I have
No. Oh,
curriculum
excuse me.
committee.
I'm jumping over. Sorry about that. Must have something to do after this. Kind of moving quick. All right. Sorry about that.
Okay, so curriculum committee also met on January 6th. We talked about many items, but the most important ones were that we'd like to increase the career-related courses in high school. And also we need to upgrade technology to enhance virtual educations. And the other one is we discussed about the graduation requirements and revision of the grading system that we have right now, both in high school. And these are the issues that we discussed last time.
All right. Thank you for that.
Excuse me, Chris.
Yes. Is that Kyle?
I'd like to make a motion to go to, hi.
Hey.
I'd like to make a motion to go to executive session to discuss personnel matters.
I second that.
Okay. You need to do it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a vote.
No.
We don't
There's
need
no
a
vote.
roll. Yeah, there's no vote to go to executive session, I don't believe. I think once a board member makes that recommendation and second, we break to executive session. I think that's how we handled it in the past.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to break everybody. We'll come back here shortly.
Would each one of you please call in to the meeting? Somebody can call my number, Jen, you can call my number. Kyle, do you have Bobby's number?
Someone
Or
could call
Chris's
mine.
number? All right,
Kyle, can you call
Got it.
Chris? And Jen, can you call mine or Ricky's?
Sure, thank you.
And Corda.
Corda, can you call Ricky?
I'll call Ricky.
Okay.
okay, Kyle.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Excuse us. Officially for the record,
Yes, yeah.
but I have to.
709.
All right, meeting will readjourn. We had to take a break for a moment to review in an executive session some personnel matters. That session went from 7:09 to 7:22 for the record. Okay, all right, thank you. Where'd we end? We ended with the curriculum committee report. Committee updates, item 2.2. Two items there. Daryl Reichert is being added to the Building and Grounds Committee as chairperson. And me, I will act as the Danville Area School District PSBA liaison. That's a formality to be the point of contact between the state and the local school district. Then item 3.1 is, or 3.0 is the superintendent's report, and I'll pass that on to Dr. Boyle.
I'll begin with the enrollment report. We currently have 2,249 students enrolled in the K to 12 programs, and 81 students in pre-K programs, Head Start and pre-K counts. We have 127 students that are still being homeschooled. We have 147 students who are in the Danville Area School District e-learning model. And we have 88 students that are in the outside cyber school. So the fact that we opened the e-learning model has potentially saved the district approximately $1.9 million with those 147 students who are not attending an outside cyber school. We will be launching a campaign to try and get those students who are in outside cyber schools back into our program so they can learn what that's about, because this is the first year that we've had an all-out e-learning program from K to 12.
Hey, Ricky, it's Jen. Can you repeat again how many students are in blended learning? And I don't know if you know if that's elementary or secondary or like middle school, like what levels that is. I just don't have the attachment, so I'd like to just hear that again.
I do not have the number for the Bridge program right now because we have all the students in Bridge who are not in person. So that's not specific at this point.
Because we're all virtual.
Do you know what we had
Because we're all virtual. What's that?
Do you know what we had in December before we went out? It could be approximate. It doesn't have to be specific number, but.
It was approximately 75 to 80 students.
Okay. Thank you, Ricky.
Uh-huh. All right. The additional thing I wanted to do is a COVID update and to keep people current with things. Just some information that Dr. Beckhart helped me with. Since November 18th, Danville has made the difficult decision to remain virtual in order to meet the community needs regarding the rise in COVID cases. We recognize the difficult situation this presented for our families, but also believe that our ability to provide online instruction was second to none. We will never believe that this method is a substitute for in-person learning, but ultimately, we felt this was in the best interest of the community. At this time, Danville Area School District will reopen on Monday, January 18th for in-person learning on an every other day hybrid method at the high school and the middle school, starting with A to L on the 18th. We will have DPS and Liberty Valley open for all traditional students to return in person. We have a genuine hope that our mitigation efforts within the buildings, along with increased opportunity for vaccinations over the next few weeks, will allow us to keep our buildings open. We also believe that allowing for the almost 3 weeks beyond the holidays was helpful. Simply put, we can't wait for our students to get back in the classroom. I've been in buildings this week and the teachers are like so excited to have the kids back. With this said, it's very important that our families and community understand that this will be a continued difficult task over the next few weeks and even months. Due to the still fragile situation in our community, and especially our local hospitals with the rising COVID cases, we must listen to and apply the recommendations for quarantine and closure for our schools. This means that we anticipate that at times we'll have groups of students or maybe even classrooms that need to be quarantined, or even a specific building that may need to be closed. We need to follow the guidelines that have been given to us by the Department of Health and the Pennsylvania Department of Education. However, our intention is that this will only be temporary and only if absolutely necessary. Parents must be prepared to have plans ready for their children to participate in virtual learning as an option. While we are committed to ensuring students are wearing masks, washing their hands, social distancing to the maximum extent possible, we realize that situations will arise with COVID-19 and we will be forced to react. There is no doubt these decisions are difficult no matter which direction you turn, but our commitment is to the safety of our students and our school community. Again, we are extremely excited to be with our students again and ask for continued patience as we move through the pandemic as a community united. Presently, we have encouraging numbers from what we know as far as adults. In the primary Head Start building, there are only two adults being quarantined. At Liberty Valley, we have one adult who is isolated and one adult who is quarantined. At the middle school, we have one adult who is isolated, two adults who are quarantined, and one of those individuals will be back the 19th. And at the high school, we only have one adult quarantined. So it looks like virtually by the beginning of the following week, we should have all these people back into our buildings. So we feel very good about the fact that we did stay out for that additional week last week, and it has served the purpose. Today, Dr. Levine confirmed that Phase B, which includes the school staff for vaccinations, will be eligible. And this includes people 75 or older, as well as frontline essential workers. So we are working with Allison Hess at Geisinger and others to get information from our teachers and their interest in being vaccinated. I sent out a survey today to all the staff. I got a response. It was like immediate. In fact, it so crowded the form that some teachers couldn't get on at times. So we had, by the time I left, we had over 200 employees responding, and only a handful had said no. So I find it very encouraging, and Geisinger will work with us to allow us to be a point of distribution for the vaccine. So we're working on that to get that handled as quickly as possible.
Ricky, real quick on that, is there a timeline? Do they have a target?
No, they did not give us a date, but they wanted the information, so that's what we started with today.
Okay.
Okay, cleared for school. It is really imperative that our teachers, our parents, our students are taking time to honestly complete the Cleared for School app before attending each day. This is the one way the district has to keep track of the trends and the potential concerns. And we really, we purchased this to keep people safe, and we really need the participation to be there. I've done a little bit of a contest with our teachers, and you know, the middle school seems to always be the best school as far as the number of teachers participating. I did a random drawing of those that participated 10 out of 12 days in the beginning, and we had a winner of Nancy Zola at the middle school. I will now do another drawing for the time since we came back from New Year's, from January 4th till Friday, and there'll be another drawing for those that have participated 10 out of 12 days. So we're making it a competitive, and they certainly responded to that. So I'm happy about that. Some other good things that are happening, a lot's happening in the district. Good Samaritan's Beds for Children. Good Samaritan Mission has a program that they purchase beds, a twin mattress, 2 sets of sheets, a mattress cover, 2 pillows, a laundry basket, and a comforter for children. They do this for a cost of $250. And at the middle school, again, they've set up a coffee, cocoa, and soda sales. And individuals in the building put in a donation when they get something. And in December, they made $272, which were donated, so one child can have a bedroom set. So that's pretty exciting. The PSTATs, the testing, Danville will be the PSATs. The Danville High School is participating in the nationwide date for the PSATs, and that will run on January 26th. Students who are taking the test will come into the building, arriving approximately at 7:30, between 7:30 and 7:50, because the test starts at 8 o'clock. So it's from 8 till noon. There are no admissions of latecomers to that test. It's very structured and controlled. So that's why I'm saying the students should definitely be here by 7:50. They will be allowed to leave at noon or remain in the school until the end of the day. We'll have them in places. Only the students taking the PSATs will come to the building that day. All other high school students will have asynchronous day with the instruction and materials being downloaded on their Chromebooks in advance, so they can continue their studies and have a school day, but the teachers will be proctoring the tests, so it will not be live. It'll be schoolwork and video for the kids. So again, those students who are taking the test come to the building on January 26th. Those students who are not, stay home and work asynchronously or with the videos and the work that's on their Chromebooks. Meal distribution. We're pleased to announce that the free lunch program, both breakfast and lunch, will be available for all students for the remainder of the school year. The students may receive one free school breakfast and one free school lunch each day. Free meals for all students will remain in effect for the entire year, and we will continue to communicate as changes are made. Balances on the cafeteria accounts will remain, and students in the middle and high school can continue to buy their other items, snacks, beverages, extra food, using their accounts. We also have the free breakfast and lunch program that will continue for our students that are in the bridge model and e-learning model while the other students are in person. For these students, we'll have the curbside pickups on Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 9:45 and 11:15 to 11:45 at the Danville Middle School. It's in front of the building and the gyms, the circle, that bus circle in front of the gymnasium. Enough breakfast and lunches are provided to cover the until the next distribution day, and I'm really pleased that we can offer this free school meals with all our community, and we look forward to the kids having some nutritious breakfast and lunches. We had another teacher get a very high award from Curriculum Associates. It's only 44 teachers across the nation were given the award of Extraordinary Educator in an annual program that connects exemplar teachers from around the country. And we're very proud to announce that Andrea Bainey, 4th grade teacher at Liberty Valley, has been chosen for this recognition and honor. Again, we have some of the most amazing teachers in this district. Quick update on extracurricular and athletic activities. Practices for winter sports resumed January 4th, and the events began on January 8th. An updated schedule can be found at the DanvilleIronman.com website. We continue to follow all health and safety and Department of Health guidelines in relation to masking and other precautions. Before I came over here, I stepped into the girls' basketball game. All the girls wore their masks. The individuals that were attending were able to wear their masks as well, so we were pleased with that. Although we are allowing some fans, it is limited depending on the size of the facility. And swimming, we are not going to accommodate any spectators given the nature of the heated room and the air particles being possibly compromised. In forensic, on January 9th, our team competed at the virtual blue, maroon, and white tournament at Shikellamy. Each of their participants earned high-ranking awards because of the amazing performance that was there. Danville won 2nd place overall sweepstakes award in the tournament. They've also had very good success at the two previous tournaments at the Villager Invitational and the LaSalle Invitational. And both of those were virtual, but the students have done very, very well. In our drama department, the kids are preparing for the play Puffs. Now, this play is a comedic retelling of Harry Potter book series, but from the Puffs perspective. Now, if you're like me, you said, what are Puffs? And they are as wide assortment of magically gifted students who are often overlooked because they're not known for their bravery. They're not known to be super intelligent. They don't love snakes. They're basically considered misfits. So our students have been cast and are practicing virtually, and they're getting very excited to provide this performance in March. Our clubs and are meeting virtually, doing a variety of activities. Although it's not traditional, these and other activities are keeping the students connected and engaged in the high school experience. So I'm pleased to say that they continue to have activity with their peers, even if it is virtual. Another donation that we've done is on Friday, December 11th, we had a dress down day. And instead of taking a financial donation, we took a donation of snacks that could be given to patients in the oncology clinic at Geisinger. It was well received. Some people gave monetary donations, and then Tracy Schaefer, one of our secretaries at the primary building, volunteered to go buy more and take everything to Geisinger to be donated. So that was pretty exciting too. And one more thing, the school-wide emergency drill, which is a Pennsylvania state requirement. Each school must conduct one school security drill during the school year in place of a fire drill. This will be happening on Thursday, January 21st. A letter will be going home to notify the parents. Actually, a letter will be posted and information will be going out by Blackboard to notify the parents of this, so there's no concerns. We do work with emergency management services and the borough police to make sure we're doing this drill in appropriate ways. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Boyle. Okay, now we move on the agenda to item 4, which is the public comment period. We ask all those that would like to make a public comment during this portion of the meeting to do so only on agenda items and to state your name and address, and you are allotted 3 minutes to share your public comment. So I open it up first to the folks in the room. Anybody at this juncture want to make a public comment? Yes, sir. Come forward if you would mind. You could, whatever you're more comfortable with. You're welcome to stand, or if you'd like to grab a seat, please do so. Yeah, is the green light on there?
You have to turn that one on. It's a red light on that.
Yeah, if you just hold it down, it'll. Thank you, Dr. Oh.
No,
Which is the stand one on? The
Oh.
stand one's on, so use that one.
Yeah. Yeah. You can work the room if you want.
My name is John Tomansky, and I'm the president of the Riverside Borough Council. And with me tonight is Barb Kreiner, vice president, pro tem. But I would like to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to address them. The purpose of my visit, our visit, is to ask the board to enter into negotiations with Riverside Borough Council to acquire the former Riverside Elementary property. The reasons for wanting that property is many. The biggest one is to be able to turn it into a community area. Consolidate all of our offices. We're spread out around town. Try to provide more recreation, better recreation. And I have a list here. I have copies for the board. Pass them out. They're from our mayor, Mr. John Lamont, and also from our solicitor, outlining some of the highlights of what we would like to do with the property if we're able to acquire it. So what I'd like to do is turn it over to Peter for the remainder of whatever time we have left. Okay? But yeah.
Yep.
But before I go, I'd just like to remind the board that 2021 is the sesquicentennial for Riverside.
Oh.
And acquiring the elementary property would be a great birthday present. So, keep that in mind, please.
Is that in here somewhere?
Yeah, it
No,
is.
I don't think so. But
No, it's,
Is it?
it's a wonderful 150th birthday.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it
All right.
is.
so,
B-I-N-G-O.
once again, I thank the board. If anybody have questions, hey,
Okay.
I think so.
be glad to say a few words.
Thank you for allowing us to meet with the school board tonight. Many names I recognize, some I don't. And I was just looking at the faculty. I only know 2 teachers there. So, but that's what happens. Yes, to reiterate what our president was saying, Riverside is, as some of you probably even live there, a very sedate, loving community. Everybody loves Riverside, and the dynamics of the community are changing. Many of the residents are older than I am, and many of them are being replaced because they move or pass on for another reason by younger individuals, with, of course, kids who are attending the Danville schools. But that's not the reason we're looking at that property or we're interested in it. There are many uses that we have anticipated over the years that the community will need. We, as we say, wish to consolidate all our borough offices into one location. Plus the size of the property and the building, whether we would be able to use it after some modifications, would lend itself very nicely to a community room, an emergency facility. Obviously, as you're aware, the railroad goes through Riverside, and at times we do have considerations. What would happen if there were a derailment, if there were chlorine tank cars, and if certain parts of the community had to relocate to someplace else in the borough. There aren't that many locations. That the school, with a little modification, would fit that bill very nicely. Also, we've considered recreation. Everybody likes recreation, and we have many walkable streets in Riverside, but the number of vehicles is increasing. It's becoming more of a problem for people with dogs to enjoy an afternoon or an evening walk. We envision that area being utilized for walking paths, possibly in combination with some walking paths which have been established on the airport property. Also, there would be plenty of room for community gardens. Obviously, there's a soccer field over there now, but with many other possibility of sports such as, well, one of my favorites is pickleball.
You have about 10 seconds.
All right. We're very interested in that. We do have a small playground down on Door Street by the Borough Post Office, or I should say the U.S. Post Office. However, it really gets utilized, and it's more adaptable to the younger set in the borough. So we would envision more recreational area around the school property. With that many acres, there's plenty of room to spread out and enjoy nature. Also, we were very concerned about losing right now a lot of agricultural land in the borough, concerned about losing that to housing. Not that we're against houses for tax purposes and obviously places for people to live, but once the ground is gone, once there are buildings on it, apartments or houses, it can never be returned to the original state.
It's time.
So,
Can I get your full name? I'm sorry for the
oh, I'm
agenda.
sorry, it's Peter Fleming, Fleming.
Thank you so much.
And also, I have kind of an attachment to the school. Obviously, I'm a little old. I wasn't able to attend. We've lived in Riverside since 1969, and Riverside's one of those communities you move into temporarily. So our family moved there temporarily in 1969, and it looks like we will probably not be leaving for quite some time, we hope. Both of our boys attended Riverside Elementary School. My wife taught there, retired from Riverside, so we have a very strong attachment to Riverside Elementary.
John, thank you very much. By the way, or Peter, thank you very much. By the way, the courts beside the Danville Middle School have been designed for pickleball, so that you know we repainted them so you can go play there.
And we thank you very much. I just played there yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Works out very nicely. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Are there anybody else in the audience here that would like to make a public comment? All right, Jeff, turn it over to the folks online. Is there anybody that'd like to make public comment online?
Doesn't look like we have anyone that is in the meeting that's outside, so no public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right, move on to item 5, which is that we have a presentation from Jess Knoll tonight. So I will turn it over to Jess and Dr. Bighart. Tonight, Jess will be talking about social media.
So hello, everyone. I am Jess Knoll. I'm the assistant principal at the middle school. So Dr. Bickhart's going to help me here with my presentation. We're going to be talking about social media across the district. It's something that we've been working on over the past couple years, and we're going to talk about where we are currently and where we would like to go in our future. Okay, so our goal with social media throughout the district is to foster transparency and effective communication with our families on social media. So we are meeting our families where they are. We all know that social media, whether you like it or not, is part of our world. And so we are meeting our families where they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you different areas that we have it. So I'm going to start at the primary school. A few years ago, under the guidance of Dr. Bighart, I took on the initiative of creating a Facebook and an Instagram page. These pages are currently still active under Mrs. Willoughby. And what I would love to show you is some of the things that I would highlight, some of the things that we're doing. So some of the things that we look at is everyday moments and big moments. So one of the big moments that Mrs. Willoughby did this year was an elf visited the school. So while we were fully virtual, Mrs. Willoughby decided to do a wonderful way to outreach to our families and our students. So as you can see, this was day 3 of the elf sighting. So this was just a great way to communicate with our families, even though we were fully virtual at the time. So along with the everyday moments and the big moments, it's also very informative with our Blackboard announcements. We have a diverse representation of our community connections. We showcase our staff. In tracking the data, we found that our families love to see our staff. And we also highlight the educational activities that we do. So what's really great about our Facebook page has over 1,000 followers. So we've done that in over 3 years. Next. So we're going to showcase next our middle school. Our middle school, we started social media this past fall. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. Again, we highlight our everyday and big moments, our entire community, our staff and our students, and our clubs and athletics. So here, what I would like to highlight is, because we could not have our traditional winter concert, our choral director, Mrs. Pritchard, created the 12 days of holiday cheer. So here is the 6th day of holiday cheer video. And these were when our students were in the building. She had recorded them singing. So this was our 8th grade chorus. Unfortunately, you can't hear it right now, but it is them singing through the audio. And she included some videos, and it was just a great way to showcase what we are able to do.
Feel free to visit the page to listen to that entire concert.
Yes, and there are 12 videos, which we have all there for you to enjoy. So I know the holidays have since passed, but if you want to get in the spirit. All right, so moving on, the next building I'd like to showcase is the high school. Now, the high school's really paved the way in this. They have a Instagram page that is student-led and moderated by the staff. There we go. So you can see on their Instagram page, they again showcase athletics, community connections, their everyday moments and their big moments. And what I'd like to highlight here is an educational activity from Mrs. Blansfield's class. And then Dr. Pickard, if you could press the arrows within the picture. Yep. So here you can see this was the same class, and it was a brain activity they were doing. And it just shows the students, you know, within the school day, and just something that was happening that sometimes our parents don't get to see. And sometimes we know that our students don't go home and don't necessarily want to talk about school. And here's a great way to kind of break that barrier. And as you can see, they were able to highlight our virtual students also. Okay, so moving on to our next group is our athletics. So our athletics is a little different. They have a Twitter account. So this is really great. They're able to live tweet games. They're able to announce playoff dates immediately once Mr. Johns gets the information. They connect with other schools and foster goodwill. They celebrate their alumni connections. So our students, our graduates who go off to play with other schools, we're able to showcase that. And the other thing is they cross-post. And what that means is they're able to take posts from other activities. So here's one from the local news station, and it's highlighting the Danville area swim team. And we're actually going to show you a small clip of it. And this came out on January 7th. So it's just showcasing, oh, I guess we don't have audio, so. Yes, but if you go to our athletic Twitter page, you can click on the link and you can watch it there. So as you can see here, we have been doing some really great things. And then this is our general Facebook page through the district. Now this is much more basic. This has our major announcements that come through Blackboard Connect, and it has some of our community connections. So as you can see, we're doing great things. We've really gone above and beyond, and we can see that this is beneficial with our families. Now, something else that we have is the app. So I know many families have a lot of apps already on their cell phone, but this is one more you're going to want to add. And here's why. So one, it gives you all the updates immediately. You click which schools you want to follow. But as Dr. Boyle was saying earlier, cleared for school. That is something we're asking our families to do. You download that app, Cleared for School is on it. Excuse me. Every morning, as a parent, you go on, check your child, and you're done. You're ready to head out the door. So that's one of the great things that our app can do for you. Okay, so it kind of showed you where we are. So where do we want to go? So one of the things we would like to do as a team, and again, this is something that it's not just one person. We need the help of the school board, the help of our staff, and we need the help of our families. So we would like to expand an active social media presence at each building, review and update our electronic communications policy, have a streamlined and controlled message coming from the district. We want to have active and verified accounts. You want to know that you're following Danville schools. And we would like to have one administrator overseeing all of this. So again, this is a team effort because all the content that you see comes from our staff, comes from our community members, and all the wonderful things that we do at Danville can be shared with beyond our school walls. So with a lot of our families being transplants, we can share with family that's far away. So if you have family in Arizona, grandma can hop on the Danville Primary School page and see, hey, look what my grandchild is doing. Okay, so I think there's one more. And here are all our tags. So here you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we are #DanvillePride. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. That's awesome. I like that we've got a bunch of things going on and that you have a vision. A part of where we're headed, you're looking to build a team. Is that like a stretch view, or is that kind of where this group of folks is going next?
So when I say a team, and Dr. Boyle can definitely add to this, is the content. So it requires teachers to take photos of what's happening, and it's asking our community of staff to bring that content to be shared with our community.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I'm referring to team.
And as we expand, we're seeing a need to have one administrator be responsible to oversee so things are running properly in each account.
Okay, that's great stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving along through the agenda on item 6, the consent item agenda. The board will take action to approve consent agenda items to 7.1, 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, up through 12.8, 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, and 13.4. Do I have a motion to approve those consent agenda items?
I make that motion.
Thank you,
I would like to
Christine.
make a motion to remove 7.1, please.
Okay. So do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We voice vote that one?
Oh,
No.
okay.
Roll call. Okay, roll call for that, please.
Dr. Gatachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Reichard,
Yes.
Dr. Uasa,
Yes.
Mrs. Edmeades,
Yes.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Okay, so that we move on to item 7.1.
Now we
No,
have
that's what we just removed.
removed 7.1. We need to do the consent items.
Oh, we just, okay, yeah. All right, so now I need a motion to approve the consent items 12.1 through 12.8 and 13.1 through 13.4.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Christine. Second, Bonnie,
Okay.
thank you.
Just gonna take me a second.
Can you repeat what motion? I couldn't hear you, Chris, you're on. Can you say what you said, what we're gonna vote on next?
Yeah, the consent items, Jen, items 12.1 through 12.5, oh, excuse me, through 12.8. So 12.1 through 12.8. And then items included in that would be 13.1 through 13.4.
Okay,
We've separated out, another simpler way would have been, we separated out item 7.1.
okay, 7.1 is out.
Yeah, 7.1 is a standalone.
So we need a motion now to approve the consent.
I agree.
Right,
That
we have a
was Chris-
motion, now we need to do a roll.
Okay, who seconded the, okay. Okay, Mr. Gordon. Mr.
Yes.
Gordon. Dr. Gursky.
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Dr. Yuasa.
Yes.
Mrs. Edmeades.
Yes.
Mrs. Fish.
Yes.
Dr. Gatachu.
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Okay, motion carries, thank you. Item 7.1, the Riverside property.
Yeah, I would like to note the reason I asked for that to be pulled is because I feel that if we want to begin negotiations, that's fine. But I think that we need to do it with the understanding that we will not make any decisions as to what we're doing until we have our feasibility study. This issue has been kicked around for years. When I still worked in the district, it was kicked around. And I think that we all need to really think about the long term of this property, our taxpayers in our community, and what we are putting out for leasing other property. I just think there's a lot to be taken into account here, and I'm fine with negotiating with people, but not making any promises to anyone or any final motions on anything until we have our feasibility study.
Any other comments on this item?
Didn't you say, Chris, that there's a feasibility study being planned?
Yeah, there is a satellite process going on, and the next step in that is there's a team put together to meet tomorrow with formal interviews of prospective folks to conduct the feasibility study, which will include a long-term vision of transition and some ideas that are being considered for the future of this district and the properties and all.
So this motion is to approve that action that you're taking tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
Want to elaborate on that a little bit?
The action that's taking tomorrow, we've already had a vote previously to approve to follow through on researching a feasibility
Okay, so
study.
that was the previous feasibility study.
Right,
vote we
yeah.
took. Okay.
Exactly. This vote has to do specifically to entering into negotiations and talking to people about the potential possibility of a sale and, their offers, to bring their offers back.
So Bonnie, your concern is you would prefer we wait until we see the feasibility study before we enter into negotiations or discussion about potential buyers?
Well, I'm fine with entering into negotiations as long as whoever we are negotiating with is aware that the board will not make, or should not make, a decision until we have our feasibility study. I think it's great what Riverside has presented tonight. I think for community-wise, I think it's wonderful. But I think that we need to look at the overall picture of where we as a school district need to be. That's 14 acres of land that we own. Are we sure that we should give that land up? I just think we need to do the feasibility study before we sell this land.
Can I ask a quick question on that, Mr. Huron?
Yes, please.
So it's Jen Gursky. I just have a question to understand how long a feasibility study typically lasts and what that process looks like. I know when you get into negotiations and property of sale, timeliness is very important. I just feel like it'd be in the best interest of the board and the public to understand how long that feasibility study may take and what that potential timeline is.
Potentially, it could take up to 6 months for a feasibility study to be completed.
Thank you.
Any other comments? So the item at hand is not to make any formal commitments as much as it is to begin the discussions, to recognize what opportunities are out there, which, at least at face value for me, that would supplement the feasibility study as we break down a feasibility study, what our options are, all the what ifs get answered or at least get entertained, and within that framework, you'll get your financial impacts, your costs, and all that would wash out. I know I'm looking at Ken because I know you're focused on that. I don't know if you'd want to share in your view of the feasibility study for the group. I think that would kind of tie out Bonnie's thinking altogether, and for our friends from Riverside.
It's valid. I think that initially what we were looking at involved the 4 buildings that we have now, but that is a property that we do have at this time, so there'd be no reason not to put it in as like a possible variable for what we want to do. And the feasibility study is going to help do that. There's no rush to sell that building. There's no reason why we couldn't wait. I'm sure the parties that are interested are both very interested, and they'll both be interested 6 months from now. Feasibility study can go anywhere from 4 to 7 months. 6 months is a good average to work with. I don't think and once again, feasibility study will determine that. But I think the focus, at least initially, is to try to get all the students in one area, one campus per se. But that's not to say that something may come up and that Riverside has more value than to the school to maintain versus to sell it. I don't see that because of the renovation work that it would take, but there's no reason why we can't keep it as a possible variable until the study's done and then make that determination at that time. I'd be fine with that. I don't think it will impact the study.
Who in the district's heading up the negotiation? That part of you guys are doing that. Okay, so what I think is we've got an opportunity to kind of have 2 paths. One of them is the formalities we have in hand with the contractors lined up for tomorrow in the interview sessions you have planned, and then to speak to the actual property is to continue to have those discussions and begin to put some value and some more detail together. And then we'll see where that takes us, and we can entertain those next steps. I don't know if it's all inclusive, has to wait 6 months or not. I think we have 2 paths we can go on simultaneously and kind of assess that as we go. We've got the same group of folks looking over on it. And to me, on the Riverside property, I know it's been idle, and Bonnie makes a fair point about let's not move so fast. There's not a sense of urgency. There is some opportunity to take a look and put that land to good value within the framework of the community. I think we just have to be very transparent, as she had touched on too, with our friends from Riverside and anybody else we might be having that negotiation with. So I think that's kind of a reasonable approach. So that's my thoughts on it. Does anybody else have anything to share for this subject? Okay.
Chris, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bonnie. Go ahead.
I know that I am only one board member, but I would like to see the motion say, the board will take action to begin negotiations with parties who have expressed interest in purchasing property located in Riverside Borough, providing they are aware that a feasibility study is being taken and no decision will be made until the completion of that study. That keeps it simple. It keeps it, I don't want to turn anybody away with negotiations at this point. I just want them to understand that in all fairness to the Danville taxpayers, and the good of our district, we need to complete the feasibility study. I mean, and I know I'm one. So go ahead, Jen.
Well, I was just going to ask because I think you make a fair point, Bonnie, that we need to consider what the taxpayers are looking at. I would ask on the flip side of this, I think, Ricky, in the past, you've provided us an approximation of how much that building costs us monthly and annually. If we're going to look at selling it, I just think it's good to bring that back to the forefront. We've had some new board members come in since we've talked about that. And whether or not we wait till the end of a feasibility study, it's just other pertinent information to have with the cost. Is that possible?
Bobby and I'll work on that for the following board meeting.
So this particular action item is not binding us to any formal decision at this point. Right? This is just to get more data to understand what the opportunity is and be able to weigh that against the other parts of the puzzle. I mean, I have no, if we want to enter that into the record, what Bonnie said, that's to me, that's fine. I mean, that's kind of part of the negotiation anyway, which would be a discussion on timelines and when decisions get made, but that's.
So Bonnie, are you making a motion to change the way that's written, or are we voting on that the way that that is?
Yes, Jen, she is.
Thank you.
Great language.
Bonnie, did you write that down?
We need to create language that we vote on, right? To formally enter it into the record.
Bonnie, I just want to.
Needs to be second.
Excuse me, Chris.
Okay.
I forget.
I think Mr. Gordon's trying to ask a question.
Sure. Sorry, Kyle.
No, I just. Thanks, Jen. Bonnie, I just have a one little concern with the end of your wording there. Until the feasibility study is complete, I think if we put that in there, that's going to limit our ability to do things quicker if we need to. Just some, exuberant for that property that would make total financial sense just to get it off our books.
I understand that, but it's been sitting there for years and years and years. Why do we have to jump into selling it tomorrow and make a huge mistake? I'm not saying we're going to make a huge mistake. I don't want to just sit on property. Like, I think it should have been handled a long time ago, but it wasn't. So at this point, I don't think we should jump into it and sell it tomorrow without at least looking at a feasibility study. I just think that being fair to our community, our taxpayers, I just think overall it needs to be, we need to put our big boy pants on and we need to really look at all the numbers, the cost of this, the cost of, I think it needs to all be looked at. I don't think we need to just say, unless somebody's going to come in here and give us $1 million for that property tomorrow, I don't think we should just jump on it.
Right.
And I can guarantee you nobody's going to give us $1 million for that property.
Well, I think, and Kyle, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was your concern. I agree. The likelihood of somebody throwing $1 million at us tomorrow is rare. But when we word it to the end of the feasibility study, we literally have no wiggle room. We could be 2/3 of the way through and it looks like it's not going to work and somebody offers us money that make it work, but we can't, or that offers money that makes sense for the district. But then because of that wording at the end, we can't wiggle from that. Is that correct, Kyle? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think I respect the views. I think we're talking about a step process that we're more concerned with step 2. This is step 1. Step 1 is to get more information. So to get more information, you sit down with folks and you shake out scope, you shape out timeline, you shape out costs, you shape out all those things. You're not signing up to do anything because part of that process is to look at all prospective buyers, weigh all opportunity, weigh options. I think my thoughts is this one solely gets us into the arena to begin those discussions. It doesn't commit us to anything. It doesn't make us put us in a spot. It has no pending value other than to be more data driven based. And I respect what you're saying with the nature of being good stewards of the community's monies, and knowing like these nice folks that came here today have shown their interest, that would to me be part of those discussions to say, look, you know, we're not ready to make this decision for a month or 6 months or next. I don't know what those timelines can be, but I think that this one can be a standalone to get more information, and then frankly can has a parallel path with something else. So
Well, I just have a comment to make. We're going to be interviewing 5 firms tomorrow, and we'll vet the firms along with, we have 9 individuals, 8 individuals that are going to take part of the interview process to narrow it down to one firm just for the feasibility study that we'll present at the next meeting. And along with that, we will know what their time frame is, because as I look through their information, some of them are ready to start it the next day with a shorter or longer period of time. That interview process tomorrow will have that answer. And I'm not telling you what to do with the proposal, but you may want to vote on it or table it till next time. You'll have that information, decide what you want to do then. I'm just offering that up. That's strictly up to you guys. But after the interview process tomorrow, we'll know if it's 7 months, if it's 4 months. Maybe that'll help your decision how you want to word that.
Thank you. Bonnie made a motion, so we need to know if we have a second for it, and we need to do a vote if we have a second. That's where that's
Can
at.
I revise the motion to say not necessarily have it be the feasibility study be completed, but that they are aware that a feasibility study is in the works, like that we are pursuing a feasibility study, that we're like, that way they would know we're not going to make a decision tomorrow.
Right.
I just think that, I mean, I'm fine with negotiating with people. I'm fine with that, but I'm not fine with, like, I feel like it's open ended. Like we can just say, hey, this person gave us $10. This person gave us $20. Let's sell it to the person that gave us $20. Done.
we can't do that.
We can't do that,
We
Bonnie.
can't do that.
Okay.
That has to come back to the board to vote on. So this is the first step before we could even think about doing that.
Okay.
So that this doesn't tie us to any formal decision other than to get more information to base the next decision on. So I think that these are two mutually exclusive
I mean,
entities.
I know it has to come back to the board, but I just want,
Well, that's part of the responsibility of the negotiation team. If I'm sitting and negotiating with someone, they're going to want to know, when are you going to make your decision? You know, is there any other information you need? When are you going to answer my question? That's like kind of the
okay, who's
path.
on that negotiating team to negotiate with people? Properties. Is it the building and grounds people?
It's Ken and I at this time to get the information. Talk about negotiations. We're going to see what people value it out and what they would offer.
Okay.
And then at that point, then we'll bring that back to the board for the information. All right?
So Bonnie, do you want to remove your motion or do you
Just
want to amend
remove
it?
I don't know, but
You made a motion. It's okay. So I
That's fine.
reworded it. So Bonnie made a motion to add, providing they are aware that that we are pursuing a district-wide feasibility study.
I will second the motion.
that would be great.
Aston seconded it.
So Bonnie made the motion and Caston seconded it.
So this vote is just to revise that motion, not to approve the entire motion. So it's just adding that
wording. Okay. Okay. Dr. Gursky,
No.
Mr. Kirsch,
No.
Mr. Reichert,
No.
Dr. Uasa,
Nope.
Mrs. Edmeades,
Yes.
Mrs. Fish,
No.
Dr. Gatachu,
No.
Mr. Gordon,
No.
Mr. Huron.
No. But then we go back to the original. Okay. So now the board will take action to begin negotiations with parties who have expressed interest in purchasing property located in Riverside Borough, which is owned by Danville Area School District. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Reichert,
Yes.
Dr. Uasa,
Yes.
Mrs. Edmeades,
No.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Dr. Gatachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, the next items on the agenda, we could make a motion to consolidate 7.2 through 7.6 or separate.
I make a motion to consolidate 7.2 through 7.6.
I second.
Okay.
Mr. Reichert,
Yes.
Dr. Uasa,
Yes.
Mrs. Edmeades,
Yes.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Dr. Gatachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, item 8 is athletics and activities. We have item 8.1, which is the board will take action to approve the following coaches for the 2020 through 2021 winter season, pending the receipt of all required clearances. The stipend, if applicable, will be paid at the end of the season. And we have Justin Reedhammer, assistant swimming coach, Matt Grozier, volunteer boys basketball coach, and Coleman Cush, another volunteer boys basketball coach. Do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Thank you, Doctor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Dr. Uasa,
Abstain.
Mrs. Edmeades,
Yes.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Dr. Gatachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Reichert,
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Okay. Here we are. Item 11.3 is bills for payment. Do you want to do individual bills or do we want to do them as one motion?
11.3 has to be together.
Oh, I
11
missed-
Just
individual.
Separate.
Yep.
It has to be alone.
oh,
I make
excuse
a
me.
motion to
I
approve
apologize.
11.3.
All right, thank you, Bonnie. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And 11.3 is the board will take action to approve the bills for payment for November 25th, 2020 through January 5th, 2021 as presented. I got that a little out of sequence, but
Mrs. Edmeades,
Yes.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Dr. Gatachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Abstain.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Reichert, Dr. Yuasa,
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, we're on items 11.4 and 11.5. We have a motion to do those together, or would we like to separate those?
I make a motion to consolidate 11.4 and 11.5.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, Dr. Gatachi, please, second.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Dr. Tachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Reichert,
Yes.
Dr. Yuasa,
Yes.
Mrs. Edmeades,
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. So, item,
Now, I just want to take a moment, item 12.4, but to recognize Larry McClay as a custodian who has now retired from the school district. We are grateful for his service and we wish him the best in retirement.
thank you for that. Thank you, Larry. Okay. And we are on to item 13, if I have this right, 13.5. Okay, the board will take action. That's the new story tuition agreement. The board will take action to approve the revised tuition agreement for student number 111252 between Danville Area School District and New Story for the 2020 through 2021 school year as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Gatachu,
Yes.
Mr. Gordon,
Yes.
Dr. Gursky,
Yes.
Mr. Kirsch,
Yes.
Mr. Reichert,
Yes.
Dr. Yuasa,
Yes.
Mrs. Edmeades,
Yes.
Mrs. Fish,
Yes.
Mr. Huron.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 15, board concerns and any items for the next agenda. Do I have any comments from the board or any concerns or anything else at this time?
I would like to discuss something for the next agenda.
Okay, go ahead, Jen.
I know that we had a very solid instructional model in place going into the fall. We have a health and safety plan that was well written, and I know in that safety plan we noted that we would change instructional models as needed. And I fully understand that we're in changing and uncertain times. However, I know that the holidays came, we had restrictions on travel, and we had quite a bit of potential for community spread for the coronavirus. And recognizing and understanding that as a board, we took the time to really openly discuss the instructional model and how we were going to proceed. I think we did a nice job putting something in place that was temporary to mitigate that. Since that time in December, I have received numerous calls, more than I can count or recount for this board, where parents who are afraid to go on record or just certain about the process or can't make the meetings reached out to me directly. And in those discussions, many of them shared with me that they do understand that we're being proactive and they appreciate the response of this board. They did also share that they're hopeful that the instructional model of every other day and this delay for return would be temporary because the needs of the children are very much as important to them as any other need that we have in the community. And so I think, I'm asking for the next board meeting that we put on a discussion of ways we can utilize deep cleaning to reset our case counts and to have out there for the public to see what our case counts are and what the Department of Health has noted as an official presumed positive so that the public understands the position that we are in. I have noted before that I think at times our hands are tied. I think we're also a proactive community that wants to keep everybody safe, and I support that 100%. But I do believe that as a board member, I'm also here to ensure that children are educated in the best way possible, to the best extent possible, to eliminate learning gaps and to promote their development both socially, emotionally, and academically. And for the safety and wellness, I know we've heard from several people. Allison Hess, I know, was mentioned tonight earlier in Dr. Boyle's report. Very well-respected person in the community, definitely a proponent of getting children back into the schools and the safety that that brings for those children. In a board meeting locally, I know and understand that there have been some people from Geisinger. It may have been Allison, I don't know who all spoke, but they had talked about the fact that schools are a model for ways that you can mitigate this transmission and you can successfully keep children safe. We've given families choices. They have the choice to remain home, and they have the choice to do blended, which I commend Danville in doing. They've done a phenomenal job with the blended program. Dr. Bickhart, all the staff, Dr. Boyle, the principals and the teachers, outstanding. I support that 100%. I think they've done a great job and will continue to grow and learn as we go through that as a district. But I do believe that there are several parents who have chosen to send their children every day. And I believe that they're equally as important in this voice. And that's what I've been hearing, is they're concerned about their children. And I do know and understand that there are ways that other districts regionally have been able to utilize deep cleaning procedures on Fridays to reset case counts. I'm very interested in hearing about how we can do that to bring children back to the building, specifically in the primary, the Liberty Valley, and also the middle school, and how we can do that even if it becomes at the middle school a 4-day model with a 5th day for cleaning, as opposed to an every other day model, because the changing and the inconsistency for kids' schedules was a concern that I heard from parents. So I would just like to add that, Mr. Huron, I wanted to explain why I'm asking for it. I'm not questioning the board's decision tonight to come back in the model that we have, but I would say that I hope that we can look at this on a basis that is revisited to get children in the buildings learning as quickly and as safely as possible. I think we may want to be exploring deep cleaning efforts. I'd like to open that discussion on the next agenda and really think about a dashboard where we have presumed positive cases as we get notified from Department of Health, and what that means for our positive cases in the schools, so the community clearly sees if we have to make decisions or do not. I think that attestation form is confusing, and the general public may or may not understand those numbers that we talk about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Made a bunch of notes. Thanks for that. Okay, is there anybody else on the board? Shared thoughts?
Chris,
Yes, Kyle.
I would like to request an executive session before our January 27th, 2021 board meeting, starting no later than 6 p.m. to discuss personnel matters if they are on the agenda.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You got it.
Anybody else? I will share that this is officially School Board Directors Month. Is there a cake or anything coming? I'm hungry.
That's the next meeting.
Next meeting. All right. Put your notes on that one too.
I already have
chocolate.
it started.
Put that in the board.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Without further ado, moving on, do I have a motion to adjourn?
No, we have public comment.
Oh, my mind's on food and I'm hungry. Excuse me. All right. Pardon me. Let's have some more public comment, please. Open up the floor for additional public comments. If there are anybody on anything they'd like to share, the same framework of name, address, and 3-minute max, or close to it. Anybody in the room? I don't see any hands going up. Jeff, anybody out there in virtual land?
Nope, no public comment at this time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, everybody.